Dungeons & Dragons has grown like crazy in recent years, and for a lot of folks, the journey began online, which is great. It's flexible and it's accessible to everybody, and it's a fantastic way to bring people together no matter how far apart they might be. But if you haven't played much in person yet, there's a kind of magic that happens when everyone is around the same table. The shared snacks, the eye contact with one another, the laughter, and those moments when everyone leans in to see if you can roll a nat 20. And if you're a DM that's been around for a while, you know those moments pretty well. But let's be real, hosting an in-person game isn't just about running combat or voicing NPCs. It's about creating an environment where everybody feels welcome and engaged and excited to come back. Now, there's plenty of fantastic advice out there about how to run a session, and I've tried to include some on this channel as well, but what about hosting a session? Welcome to Geek Philosophy, where we love geeky wisdom. If you're new to the channel, I'm Brian, and this video kicks off a series on how to host a D&D session. And today we're going to focus on the 4 stages that shape the experience, from the moment you start setting the table to the final scene of a session and everybody picking up to go home. Now, you should definitely adapt all of these ideas for your circumstances, and your setup will likely change a bunch over the years. Mine definitely has. When I was in middle school, I mostly played at my best friend's house. His parents must have had advantage on all of their patience saving throws because we raided the fridge and played until all hours of the night on most weekends. And then in college, I played in dorm rooms and in the campus library. I remember one night when I was home on summer break that my dad and my stepmom let us use their cafe after it closed. They owned a breakfast and lunch type place, so they were closed at night around dinner time. So we were able to hang out there in the cafe and the dining room itself and make sandwiches and use the soda fountain, and it was kind of awesome. It was sort of like being in our own tavern during the game. More recently, I hosted a birthday dinner session where we had candlelight and props and background music, and everything was sort of woven into the fact that people were eating during the game, so we were eating during our session. But you don't need to have a restaurant or some type of perfect game room setup for your session. Just a little intention, some planning, and a little bit of help from your friends at the table. Now, each session has its own rhythm, and if you pay attention to just a few key moments, the whole evening will feel more grounded, more immersive, and more fun. So let's walk through the 4 stages of a game session. First is setup. Now, setup is everything that happens before the game begins. It's the prep that will set the tone for the session. This may seem obvious, but clear off the table and make sure there's room for everyone's character sheets and dice trays and stacks and everything that they need to play the game, making sure everyone has a place to be and they know where to put their things. Next, you can adjust the lighting. You can use lamps and string lights, or even those little battery-operated flameless candles. Those are great for sessions like this. You might even want to have some background music going, some instrumentals, some ambient music, or even some D&D playlists on YouTube. Those are great. You can look up some stuff, and just a little bit of audio can help set people at ease before the game. Make sure the space is comfortable, nobody's gonna be too hot or too cold, and you have enough seating and room for everyone to spread out, roll dice, and focus on the game. They don't want to be cramped together as they're trying to play. Then make sure you lay out all of the essentials, like your pencils, paper, notepads, and even some spare dice just to make sure you have enough. And these little things prevent interruptions later. They prevent you from having to get up and go find the stuff. More importantly, give yourself a buffer, 15 to 30 minutes before people start showing up, so that you can double check that you have everything ready. You can have that time to breathe, review your notes, and get into the mindset of the host and guide for the session. Because then, when they show up, it's time to play. While the game might not start as soon as they walk in, their experience does. Give everybody a moment to settle in a little bit. Greet them with a drink, or ask them how their week's been going, or let them shift out of real life and into the game space. You can ease the tension with something light. Maybe when everybody's finally sitting down, you can do a quick recap of the last adventure, or some warm-up questions to get them in character, or even a toast to good rolls and better company. And then once the session starts rolling, watch the room. Some of the players might love the spotlight and others are a little quieter. Your job as a host is to make space for both of those types. Invite the quieter voices in and help everyone feel included. It's also a good idea to have a schedule for your game. Maybe have a break every hour or so, just to make sure that people have time to stand and stretch and refill their drinks, or just have a quick joke or laugh together about something that happened in the game. It helps everybody stay present. That said, remember to stay flexible. Great sessions don't always have to follow the outline specifically, but what matters is that the group is engaged, the pacing feels good, and the story keeps moving forward. Atmosphere is the invisible layer to all of this stuff. It's the feeling in the room, the vibe that everybody talks about these days. It weaves throughout the entire session, from the moment people arrive to the final scene and when people are leaving. But it's worth calling out here as its own thing because it often gets overlooked, and a little attention here goes a long way. You don't need to put on a full-on production. Just one or two little touches can heighten the immersion and make people feel like the world is real that they're playing in, for their characters at least. I've used things like a written note in an NPC's handwriting, or a shift in the music when the party enters the dungeon, or even snacks that have a theme, like Goblin Grog, and it might just be Mountain Dew, but when you say it in character, it lands. At one session, I found some potion bottles at a craft store and then filled them with different colored drinks so that players could actually drink the potion when they used it in the game. It was silly and simple and perfect. Even if it feels a little cheesy, it shows that you care and that you're trying to make a difference in how everybody is having a good time at the table. Then we have the debrief. That's the final stage of the session, and it's easy to overlook this, but it's one of the best ways to turn a good session into a great memory. When the session ends, don't just start packing up or rushing out the door. Slow down for a few minutes. Ease into it. Let the group linger in the story that you've all just created. Maybe even ask some questions like, hey, what was your favorite moment of the session? Or is there anything that you're hoping that we explore next time? That gives you feedback if you're the DM that's doing this. And you're not looking for a critique here. You're just looking for a way to reflect and connect. People might be taking notes about this, more in my next video about that. And some people might even want to take a quick photo at the end of the session, or share an inside joke that popped up. This doesn't have to be elaborate, it just needs to mark the moment. Transition from the game world back into the real world a little bit. And if you can even drop a teaser for the next session. Awesome session, everybody. You might finally get to speak to the queen next week. Or something like, hey, that locked chest? I'm curious to see what happens when you guys open it. And then you're ending the session like you're closing the chapter, but not the book. So hosting a great game session isn't about spectacle. It's about connection. So you don't have to do every little thing. But when you pay attention to a few of these key stages, you become a little bit more grounded and more immersive, and it's way more fun. In the next video, we're going to take a closer look at real world roles, not the character roles, but the real world roles that we can take on that support each of these stages. So you don't have to do it all yourself as the DM. And whether you're the dungeon master or a player that wants to make the game session a little bit better, there's a role for you to play. So make sure you subscribe and turn on the notifications so you don't miss it. You can also sign up for our Geek Philosophy monthly newsletter and get a free campaign planning guide. The link's in the description below. Thanks for watching, and remember, if the group is having fun, you're doing it right. Cheers.